Hey, what's up guys? Blackout there here, back with another Destiny video, and today we're going to be going over the top 5 exotic weapons in Destiny 2, and keep in mind, this is 100% my opinion. You guys may have very different opinions, and I want to see those in the comments. Tell me, what you feel. But coming in at number 5 is going to be the Skyburner's Oath. And now, why did I choose this weapon? I chose this weapon because a lot of the times that you're fighting enemies, you're going to be fighting Cabal. As in the raid, as in like really hard parts of the campaign. I'm putting that in big, big quotation marks here, guys, on hard, because the campaign was easy as shit. But in the raid, when the big shield guys come out, you can shoot straight through those shields. That's the exotic perk, which is amazing. It's just it's second to none. I mean, you just eliminate them as if they didn't have a shield, which is so nice, makes it so much easier. You can fire faster if you fire from the hip with a little bit of a penalty to damage, which I like. I like the ability to kind of choose how you're going to do damage. Now, I've chosen this little lost sector to show you guys because actually when I was recording these clips, it was during the dead orbit when I was trying to grind for those dead orbit keys or the dead orbit tokens, but I just felt like that was like a fair representation so everything can be on a level playing field. However, the reason that I've chose these weapons are not exactly for this particular thing. A lot of them have uses in the raid and whatnot in other areas, but that's going to be your number 5 weapon, Skyburner's Oath. Coming in at number 4, we're going to have the Sturm. And see, this is a little bit where people may argue with me about it, because there are weapons that some people like more than others. I personally like the Sturm because it has a very strong one-shot capability. There's a good chance that if you hit a mid-tier to especially a weak enemy, you're going to one-shot them. On top of, it's just a strong hand cannon, high impact, reasonable fire rate, reasonable recoil control. Definitely not the absolute best weapon that you can use, the best exotic that you can use, but I would say that it's one of my favorite. It looks cool, looks beautiful. It was easy enough to get because it was going through a story mission. But as you can see, I mean, it's nothing horribly special to one-shot these enemies, but it does it with ease. It has more than enough power to just eliminate these enemies. And that's why it comes in at number 4 for me, because it's just kind of a fun weapon to use. It's not one that you're going to typically use for the raid or use all the time, which is why it isn't higher on the list. But it's just a fun thing to use. It's something that, I get enjoyment out of using, and I hope a lot of you guys do too. But that's going to be your number 4, the Sturm. Now here we're starting to get into the real best weapons in Destiny. The best exotics, I should say. We're coming in at number 3 with the Sunshot. Now, the Sunshot is another hand cannon that I believe is hella strong. However, it doesn't have that impact that the Sturm does. It is a secondary weapon, so you're going to be doing fire damage with it. I don't know what it is. Solar damage with it. Oh, so different. But the exotic perk on this weapon is what's really going to make a difference. On the Sunshot, when you kill an enemy, they explode into solar damage. So if you kill, let's just say, a weak-tiered enemy next to an enemy with a solar shield, it is just going to shred that shield. It's going to make things explode just that much easier to kill hordes of enemies, which we all know Destiny is used to the horde mode enemies. So once you're taking out Thrall and whatnot, which, I mean, it's easy to take out Thrall with every weapon, but one shot just killed 3 or 4 of them. And that's what I like about this weapon. It's a horde mode weapon, and with as much horde mode as in Destiny, it's kind of nice to have that control. And it still can one-shot, mid-tier to low-tier enemies. It just 3-shotted that knight, which is pretty decent. I mean, for any weapon, on top of you're adding the explosion damage with it to the enemies around it, it's definitely going to come in at your number 3 spot, being the Sunshot. In your number 2 slot, gonna be Cold Heart, guys. Now, this weapon is a pre-order exclusive until December. So until December, you're not going to be able to get this weapon if you didn't pre-order the game, which does suck. I don't like the way they did that. However, the reason this weapon is included in the top 5 exotics is because of the damage it does in the raid. So the damage in the raid is very important because when you're on the last boss fight, when you're fighting Callus, this weapon shreds him. There's only one weapon that does more damage in a shorter amount of time, which we're going to be seeing here in a second, but this weapon does have a very specific use, again, with a lot of these weapons. This one is a boss shredder, because the longer you keep the beam on them, the more damage it does. However, if you're inaccurate, you're fucked with this weapon, because it does below average damage for a couple of seconds, and then it ramps it up to above average damage after you held it on the laser beam on your enemies for a couple of seconds. You can see here it's doing quite a bit of damage, but it really starts to affect it quite a bit once you hit, Callus, once you hit these bosses, once you hit, the public event servitor, when he's there and he just sucks up damage. It's not made for low tier enemies, which is why I think it comes in as one of the stronger weapons, exotic weapons in Destiny 2, because it's specifically made to really do some big damage on big bosses. And we don't have, the Black Hammer anymore. We don't have, or the Black Spindle, I think it was. We don't have all that kind of stuff to just shred bosses. So when you do find a weapon that does it, it needs to be considered one of the best in the game. So that's going to be your number 2 weapon, the Cold Heart. And coming in on your number 1 slot, by far the best boss melter in the whole game is the Merciless. Now this is going to be a heavy weapon. It's going to be a fusion rifle, which I'm not typically a huge fan of fusion rifles. However, this one really just puts out damage faster than you could even imagine. So the exotic perk makes it so each time you get a non-lethal shot on an enemy, the time between charges is reduced. So basically, you can be firing a fully automatic fusion rifle on a boss. So the first 4 shots are relatively slow, as you would expect a fusion rifle, but after that, your fusion rifle turns into, like I said, fully automatic, just completely shredding enemies. On top of, you can see right there, even with weaker enemies, it's still a fusion rifle, so it's still going to do a hell of a lot of damage. However, this is geared more toward, again, a boss slaying gun, which is why it does the most damage against Callus. It does the most damage against bosses like this. You can see it's almost firing fully automatic against this boss. Shredded him instantly, and that's why it came in so high on this list, because it is untouchable when it comes to damage output or DPS. And although it may not have the ammo that the Cold Heart does, it may not do the same amount of damage per maximum ammo. It's going to do more damage in a shorter period of time, letting you then use another weapon on Callus to get more damage. That's going to be the top 5 exotic weapons in Destiny 2. Like I said, these are all my opinions, a little bit based on facts, based on their exotic perks and whatnot, but you can very easily have a different opinion. Leave it down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and as always, guys, have a nice day.